here I am up on the Oregon coast, thinking about Conversations for Peace. And in a way, you gotta have the conversation, you gotta stand for some kind of possibility. On the other hand, there's not a whole lot of evidence. It's not really the automatic default conversation that most people have. It's much easier to perpetuate conversations of my view is better than your view, or my God's better than your God, or my interpretation is more accurate than yours. But that's maybe all given just by some view of the past and how things may have always seemed to have gone. Perhaps it doesn't need to go that way forever and ever and ever. Maybe we have the potential to actually create something, to really stand for some world that works for everyone, and just stand for that possibility. Rabbi, when I was meeting with you in the West Bank, I asked you a question if there was any support from the Israeli government, and you basically chuckled. That in essence, my interpretation was there really wasn't much or any. Is there any change in that, or is it basically the status quo?
No change, and no change expected in the near future. I don't want to blame the politicians. I look at the grassroots. The politicians aren't interested in our work. It's not on their radar screen because it's not on the radar screen of the vast majority of the population. We've created a community center called Merkaz Karama, means the Dignity Center. It's on farmland owned by Shadi's family, and they've dedicated the land to creating the only shared space in the whole West Bank. The only shared space in the whole West Bank. Now, I call Merkaz Karama, the Dignity Center, something like a mental health clinic, because I believe that both sides, Palestinians and Israelis, are a little bit sick. We're sick with what I talked about: ignorance, stereotypes, racism, bigotry, fear, lots of fear. When the two sides meet each other in the myriad of activities that we have, you see a little bit of healing take place.
How did you and your family get involved with that and decide to take the courageous actions that your family's taking?
How we get into this, it started after we lost our uncle. My uncle was murdered by an Israeli soldier. So after that, we got a phone call from an Israeli bereaved family that want to comfort us with the death of my uncle. For the first time, we face and we met the human being behind that soldier. Because to grow up in Palestine, and when you say Israel, the only thing comes to your mind is a soldier, because this is the only thing we see. Now in Roots, I'm one of the founder and the director of the youth group. It's a group of youth, 25 from each side, all of them local, live in the West Bank from the age 16 to 18. Because we believe that these days, this is the age who controls this conflict. All of the violence is happening from this age. From the Palestinian side, this is the age that the youth can realize how hard is it to live this kind of life in a big jail that's controlled by a soldier that can close that gate and you're locked inside your own village as a big jail. You don't have freedom. And from the Israeli side, this is the age before they go to the army. So in this group, we decide not to wait until these two are gonna meet in a checkpoint. Let them come and meet in our center. Because if you think that he understands why you hate him, why you're angry, then he don't. In his whole life, he never met a Palestinian. And from the other side, if you think that the Palestinian knows why you're going to the army, what you're doing, what's your life about, he have no idea, because the only time he will see you is when you will be shooting at him or arresting him. So let's take a chance to be a human being. Forget about your identity for a second and be a human being, talking to a human being. There is many people in the Palestinian side. They are against what we are doing. They are not supportive to what we are doing. But guess what? They are not wrong. We don't go against them because it's not easy if you think about it. I always say, with Roots, we are not solving our conflict, we are creating a second conflict with our own community. We're taking the challenge. But at some point, what we are talking about is not just some idea comes to our mind. This is the future of our next generation. This is creating a better life. This is taking the responsibility of being the leaders of our own change. We cannot trust anybody to do that for us.
So the work of Roots is about preparing the human groundwork in the hearts and the minds and the souls and the emotions and the identities, so that we'll be able to see a human being and a partner on the other side. And only under those circumstances of building trust can a political process, as important as it is, hold and grow and flourish.
I think we should be more open-minded about how to think about it, because the violence is not only with using your gun. Sometimes with using your words to spread hatred between people, it's more dangerous than using the physical violence.
If you support Israel, you have to know that Israel is never going to get what it needs and wants and deserves until the Palestinians get what they need, want, and deserve, and vice versa. So if you want to support Israel, you have to also support Palestine. And if you really want the Palestinians to get what they need, you have to also support Israel getting what it needs. When both sides feel that their needs and their identities have been recognized and satisfied, then we'll be on the way to peace.
Well, thanks to the work of Roots, Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger and Shadi and the youth group, all of the efforts of Roots that continue to strive for the possibility of peaceful coexistence among all people in the West Bank, even though there's very little government support, the commitment continues. And the commitment continues for a workable situation by many other organizations as well. For example, let's get an update on Rotary International's work in Israel. So we recently had a chance to reconnect with Dr. Daniel Shanit. He's the former president of the Rotary International chapter in Israel, in Jerusalem, and also part of the Perez Peace Institute. Let's hear what he has to say about Rotary's current projects in Israel.
Local school boards have taken upon themselves to actually continue and fund the continuation of this project. It got a little twist. I mean, it becomes part of the curriculum, of school curriculum in the North. If you chose the subject of civics, you will have to participate in that program, and that bringing together really Jewish and Arab kids. I have to say, I was very pleasantly surprised.
So while peace, from a perspective of the political agenda, isn't really happening, it doesn't appear to be on the horizon, there is a lot of work going on underneath the surface, as we've seen from Roots and Rotary and other organizations that are doing work in and beyond the Middle East. So please keep your eye on our website, conversationsforpeace.com, as well as our YouTube channel and Facebook, to see future episodes where we'll be getting into the whole women wage peace movement that's been taking place very successfully in Israel. We'll also be sharing comments from the Alliance for Middle East Peace, along with Annie and Frej from the Muslims for Progressive Values organization, which many people didn't even know that such an organization existed. We'll also be hearing from a former Miss Israel and a film producer and director in Los Angeles, and her organization, the Women's Empowerment Foundation. So we have a lot of good stuff coming up in our future episodes, and let's hear from you. You feel free to send in your video and your response to what's possible if there was more peace, cooperation, understanding throughout the world. Thank you.
Hallelujah, al-yom sheme'ir. Hallelujah.